Are you ready to join me in transforming fear to freedom? That's the objective of the show. Are you ready to explore with me and my guests? Are you ready to get into the deep and play? This is where it's at, and that's what it's all about. No medical advice here. Use discernment and decide for yourself if the information is right for you. All views and opinions expressed on this show belong to the individual and are not necessarily shared with the producer of the show. Want more details? Go to letsgetrealchattingwithcatherine.com. Now let's get real and have some fun. Who are we going to explore with today? Come on with me and let's get into the deep. All right, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Get Real, Chatting with Catherine. And I am Catherine Whalen-Costin, your host and the producer of this series of shows going into the deep, exploring into metaphysical, and exploring into how we're living on this planet and getting some deeper understandings from some of the experts in these fields. Rose Sangregorio is one such expert in the metaphysical area, and I am absolutely delighted to be exploring with her today and to getting some help to understand, what's going on this planet and what those understandings might be from a metaphysical point of view. And sometimes, just a little clarity on these issues really makes a difference. And then you say, aha, I get it, finally. So let's get into this chat. And I hope you enjoy it. Share it with your friends. Follow us on Facebook and on Twitter and LinkedIn and the YouTube channel, of course. And of course, visit the website lgrcc.com. We've got more and exciting things happening every day. We are back with Rose Sangregorio this morning to chat, get into the metaphysical, get into some deeper, higher, different insights into life on planet Earth. Thanks for joining me, Rose. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful for having you interview me and for everyone who listens to me. It's always a joy for me to be on this show.
Thank you. And for those of you who don't know, and I mean most of you do, but this is Rose's book, Journey to Self-Enlightenment. And I will have clips on just in case this doesn't come through really clear for you. But this is such a resource for these times. It feels to me like, how you get a biology book to find out about how the inner workings of the physical body, or how you might get a recipe for how to create something. Rose's book is sort of like that on a metaphysical, so because it brings all of the different beings, known and unknown, archangels and divas and elementals and all the different layers of the rays and all that kind of information that we just don't talk about. It's not our normal chat. And what I find so helpful is you've got exercises in the book, you've got things for people to do if they're experiencing certain things. It's the perfect tool for when something's going on and you don't understand it. You can't explain it away on a physical level, and maybe there's another reason for it, And I love it, Rose. I just love what you're sharing, and I wanted to make sure people know it's available. It's still available on your website. There's links on Let's Get Real Chatting with Catherine.com, and it's also in Danish, right?
Yes, it is. It's been translated into Danish.
Fantastic. I really feel like I've read a lot of books on enlightenment and ascension, and I read stuff on the internet about ascension symptoms and so forth, but this is the most comprehensive I've ever read, Rose, and I really just wanted to make sure people know that.
Thank you. It's also available in ebook in Danish and in English.
Nice.
And it's available on our website, of course, as you said.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I just wanted to make sure people knew, because sometimes, especially when we get chatting, we're talking about things, and maybe there's things people are saying, well, I've never heard of that, or I don't understand that, and I just want you to know there is a resource available where you can get that information and more, much more.
Thank you.
And it's not the kind of book you have to sit down and read from cover to cover. You can just use it as a reference. It's great to read it from cover to cover, but you can use it both ways. Planetary changes, shifts. I think we're going at Mercury retrograde, and then another planet too. I can't remember which one. But anyway, lots of shifts going on, and a lot of people are noticing the energetic changes and how it's affecting our body. So I thought maybe we could chat about how these things are maybe happening, what we're seeing in the physical, and maybe if there's a metaphysical explanation for some of the things that are going on.
Okay. So, wow, that opens up a big energy and a big, lots of information. So, to begin with, we are in a very interesting time on our planet Earth. Energetically, of course, as you said, we have a lot of energies affecting us, and we can say it's the planets around us in our cosmos, we can say it's the star alignments, we can say it's in our solar system. Energetically, on the metaphysical plane, it's everything, because on the metaphysical level, all creation is synchronized to itself and each other in all its expressions.
The elementals, because you know how the last time we had all that, I mean, it's happening again. It started earlier. It's not happening now that I'm talking, but as soon as you started talking, it feels like when I said I didn't know for sure what to talk about, the noise started like before, and I was going to mention it, but as soon as you started talking, this started again. And as much as I love that energy, it makes it really hard for people to hear what Rose is trying to explain. So I just wondered if you could maybe have a word.
I'll do my best. So let's see what happens. So I will talk, because on the cosmic level, metaphysical level, spiritual level, physical level, it all interrelates. And the divas, the elemental beings, the nature spirits, they're all part of the mix. And so what we're seeing and witnessing at this time on Earth is not only the energies affecting us on the energetic level, which is non-physical, which is intangible, it's not easy to describe, but what we're also experiencing is as these energies are around us, they affect us inside as well. Well, on the inside, the energy also corresponds to the beings that are part of creation in the physical material world, which are the elemental beings. There are many levels and many layers of elementals. And so as these energies are coming in and affecting us through the star alignments, through the moon cycles, because we are in the 3 most powerful moon cycles right now that we experience every single year. But this year in particular, 2014, the 3 moon cycles as of today, from the past until now, these are the strongest we have experienced on Earth. And they affect us not only energetically, but they also affect us on the physical plane level, which affects the elemental beings that are part of our system here. So when I say that, the elementals that create the wind, they create the water, the earth element, but we also have the elementals that create our animals and our physical body. It's the elementals that create the flowers and the trees. So there's many beings that are part of the elemental system, and they help us to anchor physically what is going on the energetic plane level. And so
just letting people know that right now, this happened to us before with Rose, and I have a sense that this is going to be a bit of a pattern today. So when you hear that sort of, seems like background noise, but it's not really, that's the elementals. And they do have sometimes, I'm going to say they can be a little bit mischievous sometimes, or they just want us to know that they're there, and I appreciate that they are. I'm just asking them if they could please keep it down to a dull roar so that we can really hear Rose.
The thing is that what I'm being told is the energy that you hear, that sound, is actually the energy of activation for us to physically connect consciously to their frequencies. So as the energy is coming into us from the cosmos, it hits our energy field, the aura, or different people call it different things. As it hits our energy field, it comes into the physical. There are certain things that need to be shifted in the physical body. And so that physical body shift is, I'm going to say, amplified, more ease and grace through the sounds that are being created by the beings. So
this is helpful for people listening then. It's not just for you and I, Rose, is for the people listening as well, that it has that. Because that's what the last time you had mentioned, that it was actually helpful for healing for people. So it makes sense that we can see it as a gift.
We can look at it as an initiation. We can look at it as a energetic opening for us at whatever level is appropriate for each individual that's listening, at whatever level is appropriate for each individual to step into their next level of ascension, their next level of physically being present in their spiritual bodies. And you notice that the sounds are different each time, and that's because what I'm talking about is different. And so these activations are being done by frequency through sound, through this broadcast, to help people.
Nice.
And so, so there it goes.
Yeah.
So what's happening on the planet, on the physical plane level? Physically, we are all being affected, some more than others, depending on what our blueprint or what our life plan is about. The blueprint or life plan is what we've come here to accomplish in this lifetime. If you believe in past lives, it's a culmination of all your past lives, what you've done and said and thought and felt from your past lives. They've come into this moment now to help each one of us to unfold more and more into our spiritual presence. But if you only believe in one lifetime, that's totally okay too, because energetically, our life plan, our blueprint is still what we've come here to accomplish in this lifetime. Bottom line, generally, it's about being the best we can be as a spiritual being in a human form, making choices with our thoughts and feelings, and allowing ourselves to be present spiritually, emotionally, mentally, to the best of our abilities in the best energetic field we can be.
So can I ask then, because this is really coming to me strongly lately, is the sense of, and I think we've talked about this before, how, you can choose your experience. So one person can be experiencing chaos and turmoil, another person on the same planet in the same circumstances can see it as a abundant, joyful, prosperous, harmonious world. So, and then you get people saying, well, people that are in this on the spiritual path, who kind of say it is what it is, or who accept what's going on, either physical earth changes, like floods and earthquakes and all that kind of stuff. People just accept it and say, well, that's how it is. Or violence that has seemed to be more in the news lately. And people are saying, well, or here's another thing, is the food supply, the threat to the food supply that people are talking about all the time now. We're having all these things happening, and then we have these two people who say, we have to stand up and we have to fight this, or else we are finished as a species. And then we have other people saying, well, everything is as it is. And I'm getting a little bit, even myself, finding like, which is it? A spirit, because Gandhi was definitely a spiritual person, but he took a stand and stood up for things. But so how do we best face these, the times we're living in? I'm not sure if I'm wording this question properly, but it just feels like it can't be just one or the other. It can't be, I can't be sitting in my house seeing what's going on in the world and saying, well, people are choosing it.
So, I get this consistent, when I'm channeling, I don't recall what I say. It just flows through me. There's times where I will be given an insight that I've said this before. It's not that I'm remembering what I've said. So when I say what I'm going to say next, I know I've talked about this before. Where I don't know, because I do many, many, many live events where I bring through information from the masters. So what is happening in creation? There is no cut and dry. In creation, everything is in constant flux, constant change. If you could actually experience the pure essence of the divine, it actually is a very busy energy. And yet, at the same time, it's very peaceful and tranquil. So that sounds very much like a dichotomy. Like, how can it be peaceful and tranquil when it's very chaotic? Well, there's a whole essence that comes in with the chaos. And that chaos is part of the energy that's used for us to create with. So it's the energy that we use for action, if I can put it that way. I mean, I'm putting this in very simple terms. There's a lot more complicated information to this, but I want to make it easy for people to understand. So, when we have events occurring, what I receive from the masters as insight, and I'm sorry about, but they're activating people to open to this energy, to go into that place of total divine presence. And that's what the energy, that's the sound you're hearing. I'll just let it do what it needs to do. There we go. Okay, so I hope it stops soon.
Big energy. It's big energy.
So what is happening is we as individual souls, as individual spiritual beings, make choices in this world. We are in a free will zone. So I have the free will to choose whether I want to be in my divine presence or not. And some people say, well, yeah, I choose to be in my divine presence. And then they go out and, they gossip, or they go out and steal, or they're mean to someone. Or so, I'm not talking about real stuff that you can really tell. Murder or pedophiles, we all know that's wrong. But even in the littlest thing, I choose every moment of every day whether I express myself from the divine plane or not. When we move into that place with a heart open with compassionate love, that heart opening connects us to our higher self, I am presence, authentic self, to the divine presence, whatever you wish to call it. When we connect to that, which is what Gandhi did, because people could feel it. People could feel his presence in his divine energy. When we're in that place, we actually can feel in our heart of hearts what the right action is. And so again, this energy is coming in now to clear us so that we can be clearer in our hearts, so that we can know more clearly divine presence within us. When we feel, I'll just let it finish what it needs to do. So for some people, you're going to feel it in your heart as the heart is being healed. And some people might not feel anything, but just know that there is whatever is appropriate for you to receive at this time is what you're going to receive for the compassionate heart opening.
I think my ears are going to pop.
Yeah. It's the pressure. It's the pressure as things move. So, okay, so when we experience that divine opening within ourselves, within our hearts, with compassion and love, we can then ask, in this moment right now, to serve the greatest good of all, what am I to do? Do I take action and do something, which is what Gandhi was guided to do. But there were times he was also guided to sit back and just let things be.
Right.
He was not constantly going out and marching. There were times he just sat at home and did his spinning. And so it's very important for us to understand that there is a right action in the moment with conscious, compassionate, open heart, knowing what is appropriate in that moment. So it's not always I have to take action and do something, and it's not always I have to sit back and let it be. It's always, every moment, knowing the appropriate action in that moment.
Right.
And non-action is a form of action.
Right.
And again, that energy is coming in and opening everybody up to receive. And of course, if somebody doesn't want it, they won't get it.
Wow. It's really powerful. And
well, this does not happen very often.
No, we've done many shows and it never happened at all.
Yeah. So it is part of the awakening that is happening. And I just need people to know that you can give consent to receive, or you can just listen and it's just there and you don't receive if you don't want it. My suggestion is just ask to receive according to divine will for the higher good of all and in affinity to your soul, and have your I am presence and higher self open you to whatever level you need. That's the best way to deal with this.
It really is a wonderful gift to be present and having this happening.
Catherine, you know what? You just got cut off. I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it comes and goes. Try it again.
That's really interesting. There must be something with as the other energy is working, because I noticed that then when I went to speak, it kind of cuts it off a bit. So we'll just be aware of that.
Okay. So what's happening right now is a lot of us are being impacted energetically from the cosmos, the star alignments and all of that. And as it hits us, within our being, we have the opportunity to open our heart and soul to being the best we can be in the moment. But what's also being activated within everyone on the emotional body level, and you can hear the sound of, it sounds like water, on the emotional body level is our emotional body is being also impacted. And then we need to allow ourselves to open to what is emotionally needing to be transformed. And what it's doing with people is some people, their emotional body is being, I'm going to say bombarded. It's an easier way to explain it. And so when they hit these emotional charges, these emotional blocks, these emotional patterns, they are being pushed to acting out in ways that we in our third world perceive as wrong. And that is where a lot of these triggers are happening for people to go out and kill the police because they've got some kind of idea that the police are bad, or go out and kill or shoot or stab other people for no apparent reason. It's because these energies are coming in, they're hitting everyone, and we have the opportunity to have that come up and change it through free will choice. I mean, get help or talk to someone and go to a hospital, whatever works. And so if they don't, those energies come up and they become what you are as opposed to the divine presence. And then we act from the fear that was created with these energies.
So for the rest of us, when we see this happening, is it our job then to... what would be our role in, when we see someone who obviously did act out in a way that was antisocial, definitely not part of community, not what we, like you say, we would say is wrong. When someone does act out in that way, we see many different reactions. We have people who want revenge. We have people who just think they're a monster, or they dehumanize them immediately. Oh, a human couldn't do that. Well, human did do it. And so there's that, especially when it becomes part of the global news, and even if you don't watch the news much, if you're on social media at all, or if you're just talking to friends, you're going to hear about it. So it will impact you eventually. And I'm just wondering for those of us who are consciously seeking a more spiritual path, to be able to look at our fellow humans and what's going on the planet from a place of deeper understanding, like how could we maybe transform what's happening with better ease and grace, or can we contribute to that, or do we have a role in that, what we're witnessing?
So in essence, what you're asking, Catherine, is how can we, as we become aware of these events, whatever they are, how can we as divine beings make the choice to be in a place of response rather than reaction? And the place of response comes from the compassion in our hearts. Because it's really important we don't judge. It doesn't mean we're making it okay. It's not okay to go out and shoot the police. It's not okay to go out and stab your friends. That's not okay. But it's not okay on a moral level, on a values level. But I, as an individual, cannot judge that person who does the action. Mm-hmm. Because unless you're really good at being connected to creation and know what's going on, past life, present life, what all their issues are and where it's all coming from, we can't judge that person. And so what's important for each one of us is compassion of the heart. We have to open our hearts with compassion and say, what am I to do with this information? Because nothing is given to us as information without divine order. I hear about things, you hear about things, everyone hears about things based on what it is you need to hear. There's many things that happen in our world that I, Rose, don't hear about. There's many things that happen in our world that you, Catherine, don't hear about. The things you hear about or I hear about are because there's something for me to know. And so when I hear something, my question is always, I open my heart, and the best is my I Am meditation, because it teaches you how, with a breath, to open the heart and connect. And when I open my heart, I ask with love in my heart and compassion, why am I listening to this? Why am I seeing this? Why am I hearing this? What is my role? What do I respond to this energy for and with? I'll just let that through.
It just makes me want to breathe. Just breathe it in.
It's my whole body's vibrating right now.
I imagine. You can see.
So what I want to finish with is that as we go into that place of compassion and our heart connection to our soul, etc., we can then decide what to do without judgment. And again, some of us might need to do a prayer group and to say prayers for this person. Not just the people who were killed, but the person who did the killing, because we all have a soul, we all have an Atma, we all have a divine spark, and we all have that inherent goodness within us. What happened to make this person do such a horrific thing? And that is take the life of another. And it's really important that we understand that it's not right, but we have to have compassion enough to love everyone equally and ask, what can I do to help?
And yet in our society, we have a system that we've, set up from the old paradigm for sure, but where we absolutely are going to judge this person. we are going to judge them. We are going to have a judge, and that's their job all the time. Plus, you know, we may have a jury. I'm not sure how that'll go, but so we basically have set up kind of a system to be constantly judging. That's what we make laws so that we actually have the tool to judge. And we, you know, it's a kind of a contrary to spiritual principles of compassion, but at the same time, because we are a physical society and we have to have ways to commune, to live in harmony, to whatever. So we, in our limited abilities, I guess, we come up with these laws and such, and then decided somebody is going to have to play God here and judge people and whatever. It's very interesting, and I think that's part of the conflict perhaps within, maybe for me, is that, you know, maybe I'm only speaking for myself, I don't know, but it does feel like there's a bit of a, it's, you know, hard to come to a place of peace within, because we know, like you say, morally, you know, things like happening to children, well, you definitely don't want that to happen again. You want it to be deterrent. You want, you know, all kinds of, you basically what you want is for it to stop. You just, you know, that's basically people just stop hurting each other, you know, just how can we find our way? So, you know, I like, and the I am breath and the I am meditation is in the book. You give really great explanation of it, but also you have meditations people can use if they're not sure about, like, because I'm just thinking that some people that will be watching this will be watching it from that place of, look, I don't know what to do with all this information. I don't know what to do with all this news. I need a way to heal, to ground myself, to be on this planet and not go insane with all the chaos going on around me. And that's what these kinds of tools are for, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, speaking to the judging, we still need structure. Mm-hmm. We still need structure in this reality. Mm-hmm. And the structure can be created through things being in place that say, okay, this has happened. What can we do to put in place whatever protocols or whatever things we can put in place so that this doesn't happen again? So rather than saying, okay, let's give this person maximum time in jail and, you know, hope they rot in jail or whatever, we say, okay, what caused this? Where did this trigger get hit, and what was it? And what can we do as a society to change it so that this doesn't happen again? So this is where our system of judging, I don't like to use the word judging, but that's what we call it, where we can have a system where we do have a legal system that says, okay, this is not correct. What can we do to change it?
I think that's the key, Rose, that I feel that's right there. And we can use the word assess other than judge. We assess the situation, right? That would be a good word. But it really makes sense to me what you're saying is sometimes things happen that are escalate, because we're seeing in the news, I'm going to say, because it probably things happen all the time that don't come to our awareness. In my awareness, in the news, I'll say, in that context, I have noticed an increase in these violent actions by a lot of young people, especially, seemingly, you know, out of nowhere kind of things. So to me, the question is, why? Why is this happening? And I think when it happens, when so many things happen, it causes a collective sort of why. Okay, something is out of sync. We are not in harmony. This is really clear that we are not in harmony. Same as when we collectively, you know, our leaders say, let's go to war. Collectively, people go, now. I mean, they used to rally and say, yes, let's go to war. Now we're saying, why? Why? Because there's morally, we've evolved a little bit to saying, we don't think we want to solve problems that way. So that's a really big key for me, is to kind of see that let's go to the why. And I feel the reason, again, we've got the most powerful 3 months right now
through with the Easter celebration, with the Wesak celebration, and now we have the Festival of the Christ, which is the solstice of June. These 3 moon cycles are the most powerful every single year. And so this year is the most powerful ever on the planet. And we are moving to a place of harmonization. Well, to bring into harmony, we have to find what's out of harmony so that that can be shifted. And so we are witnessing energetically most powerful energies, which is affecting people and which is being played out by certain people with all the events we have witnessed. And again, you know, people being shot, people being stabbed for no apparent reasons. I mean, just out of the blue, they decide to go kill somebody. There's many layers to this answer, many layers. But on a general level, it's so that we as a collective can say, okay, wait a minute. This is wrong, but why is it happening? And we all know it's wrong to go out and shoot and stab someone. But why is it happening? And it's happening consistently over and over and over in the last little while. And why? Why is it all of a sudden the world is hearing about these children and women being kidnapped in Africa, right?
Right.
Why all of a sudden? It's been happening all along.
Yes, that's right.
Why all of a sudden is it? It's because it's time for us on a collective level to know globally what's going on so we can choose to change, but also to take the consciousness to a higher place and say, what is happening here? What can we do to make it different so it doesn't happen anymore? So as a collective humanity, we need things to happen before we get forced to make changes, which is unfortunate. I wish, this is Rose, I wish we could make the changes and say, wow, where can we make changes before things happen? But that's not the way human nature reacts.
Yeah.
We focus on the reactive energies versus the responding, and we're slowly moving into the place of response, which is why things are happening the way they are right now.
I appreciate that very much. Another area that I wanted to touch on, which kind of goes with this, changes on the planet, changes in behaviors and so forth. So we're seeing, and a lot of people are more consciously aware, children, the new children coming in with, you know, seemingly higher intelligence or gifts that are, you know, some people are looking at it and saying, well, that shows reincarnation because that person has got, you know, Mozart skills and that person's got somebody else's skills. And I actually heard a little girl say that she was not happy being compared to Mozart at all. She was her own person and she was doing her own thing, which was very cool. But so we're seeing differences in things, in lifestyles. We're seeing, you know, a lot is coming to our awareness more of the transgender children. You know, they're coming in as boys, but they really know they're a girl, or vice versa, and all those different sort of more people choosing homosexual lifestyles. Well, whether it's more or whether it's always been that way and we just haven't noticed, but we're becoming more aware of it and more, well, I think more accepting in some ways, maybe not in some. But, you know, a lot of people are concerned about children going to school and being medicated because they don't fit in, you know, because they can't sit in the classroom properly. Or we see young adults being medicated because they're rebelling, which is a normal part of adolescence. But all of these changes in, I'm going to call it more of a human, how we are in our physical bodies, that there seems to be a change there. Is there any insight that you can share on that?
Yeah. Oh, wow. This is big. Did you hear that? Okay, let's get ready. Okay. Our world needs to move to a place of oneness where we know, not just think it, not just feel it, but we know it. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, we know that we are one. Therefore, I know that everything I do creates creates an impact in all creation. Everything I say, everything I think, everything I act out is an impact on creation. And we know this. Many of us have heard it, but we don't understand it really. Because the scope of this statement is so big that our minds have trouble wrapping itself around the concept.
Right.
So when I understand and I know that everything I say and do, etc., affects all of creation, then in that knowingness that we are one, I also know that within the oneness, I have my unique self that is expressed through my ray structure. And I'm not going to explain ray structure now. It's in my book.
Get the book.
Because it's just too big of a topic.
It is deep, yeah.
So as an individual person, Rose, I have my own ray structure, which is the way I uniquely express myself in the oneness of creation.
Right.
So let me just stop there for a sec. In our past, we have always had people who have had the idea of sexual orientation other than what we consider, quote, normal, male, female.
Right.
Okay, we've always had it. It's just never really been something that was displayed. It was always a hidden thing. Actually, way, way back, it was never hidden. Everything was accepted as it was. Everyone was okay as they were. And we lived in harmony. But this is a long, 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 long time ago.
Right.
So in more recent history, we've always hidden that. So here we are on planet Earth at these times we're in. We are here actually now to experience our oneness, our unique self within the oneness. And we haven't been able to do that in many, many centuries. To be able to actually consciously feel my oneness with all creation and be physically present as the person that I am as a unique being.
Right.
So to be able to bring everything into a harmonic state, we have to have all expressions of the divine present so that all parts of the divine can play its own energetic piece within the oneness, but we need each individual person to express within that oneness each part of the divine expression. And so we seem to be experiencing more of these same-sex orientations, or children being born as a boy knowing they're a girl. Definitely, because our consciousness on the planet is of a higher frequency, the souls that are coming in are of a higher frequency, therefore they have a higher conscious state. So when these children are born, they are of a higher conscious state. But it's also because we ourselves have altered our lens. That we can see who they really are. I feel that all these souls that were special, again quotes, in the past, like Mozart, as you mentioned, or Beethoven, or Einstein. Let's bring in some science guys, or
Tesla.
These guys, I mean, we have souls like that. We've always had souls like that on our planet. The problem was that they had to fight to maintain their individuality in the soup of consciousness that was of a lower frequency. And because of that fight they had, they rose above the consciousness and looked like, wow, these guys are special.
Yeah.
Okay? So here we have today, more and more people have changed their consciousness, that we actually can acknowledge these children as they're being born and say, wow, they're pretty evolved. So are they coming in more evolved than before? My information is not necessarily. What it is our consciousness on our planet is altered. So we see them differently. We see these children differently, and we see the truth of who they are better.
And we don't try to suppress them, perhaps.
Well, and we have this old paradigm that is still here. We haven't completely shifted. So the old paradigm states that we must follow certain rules and be in certain boxes. And so this is where these children, even though we're now consciously allowing them to be present, we also have this other state that says they have to be in boxes. And so, okay, we need to medicate them because they're different. What I have seen from when my children were growing up to today, the acceptance of kids being different is way more okay than it was when they were kids.
Yeah.
And it's because more and more people are saying, you know what? Every child is different. So
it's just that we don't know what to do with them. I think that's the reason for the medication is we know they're different. We know this is happening, but we don't know, like you say, they still have to fit in the box because we haven't created a new place. Where do we go without the box?
I feel that there are people that have come in with the programming or the mission to create the new educational system. I feel that there's many that I have met personally through the travels we have done and the classes we do where people have come and talked to me and they have these visions of this new school system. I feel that we just need to be patient because to totally change everything right now overnight would throw the world into chaos. We couldn't handle it. And so it has to be done a step at a time. So all this stuff around the education system, I feel, is because we need to change the way we educate our children. And so we still have teachers that want to put kids in the box because they don't want to deal with their hyperactivity, if you will. But we have many, many, many more teachers today than ever before who are open to children being different and foster who they are as different children. Mm-hmm. I feel, yes, it's a slow process according to us because we think, wow, when is it going to happen? Mm-hmm. But I have witnessed in the years from my children to today where I help people with children, huge shift in consciousness in the classroom. Yeah. So medication, I feel, is going to start to be decreasing in the amount that's used with children. And I feel that as time moves forward, our education system is going to be designed in a way that we foster children's strengths and help that become what they are as they grow up, along with some of the other stuff they need to work to live in this life, but to foster what their strengths are versus trying to put everybody into the same academic box.
So when we hear, so for instance, what comes to me right now is I just recently heard about, in Ontario, Canada, it was reported in the news that some of the seniors' homes, they are medicating the seniors so that they are easier to handle. So it looks to me like we have both ends of the spectrum. It's like, to me, this is the old paradigm falling away. It's coming to our awareness because that's not new. I mean, medicating seniors, I've heard of that years ago. People that, they just didn't want to deal with, medicating them to make them easier to control. And I think what comes to me is it's coming to our awareness because we're starting to realize that doesn't work. That fitting people into the boxes, it doesn't work. And like you say, we can't do it overnight, but I feel like it's coming to our awareness so that we can say, no, that's not acceptable. Exactly. And make the changes.
And what can we do to change it?
Right.
I believe as we start allowing our children to be fostered into the arenas of what they excel at. So a person who really has the ability to be a caregiver, we foster that in them so that as they grow up, that's what they're good at because that's who they are.
Right.
And so then they're in a healthcare system where they really love to do what they're doing. And they love to help these people so they don't have to medicate them to keep them under control so they're not a problem. So that we can say, okay, where can we change all of this?
Right. Well, I appreciate that point of view. And I'm just wondering if you want to explore into another area that's also changed in my reality and what I understand, and that is the concept of death. And it's because we are hearing so many people now having near-death experiences, and we're also getting more people communicating with people who've crossed over. So, I mean, I know this is a big subject, and probably we can do another show where we talk about it in more depth, or maybe one of your seminars or your courses, which can go into it more. But I just wondered if you could give us a little bit. Is a near-death experience the same as what happens when you really die?
The short answer is yes. That's what I get, is a yes. The near-death experience is a very if I had a ruler of 100, then where 100 being the actual death process, the near-death experience would be 0.5. So it's a very small part before the rest of the death experience is brought into play.
Yeah, I wondered about that, if it was just sort of like the prelude.
It's like the extreme tip, like pinhead tip of an iceberg. What I'm getting is that a near-death experience is usually for people, I shouldn't say usually, they're saying not to say usually. A near-death experience is when a soul needs to experience the crossing over, and to be able to come back to this planet so that they can talk about it. And sometimes it could be because they've crossed over and they get information, which then they bring back and they have to share.
Right.
So I mean specific, like near-death experience, there's a lot of people out there that talk about the experience, but there's also people out there who have had a near-death experience where they're told, okay, you need to do this, 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 and this. So they're actually given a task. So the near-death experience has that type of role in our world at this time. The reason we have more of it happening is because consciousness on our planet is way higher than it ever used to be, and it's much easier for many of us to cross into the spiritual light and come back. Many of us do it through our meditative states, but there's those that need to make that connection, or that bridge. They need to cross that bridge on a more visceral level, so they have to actually, quote, die, experience, and come back from death. And so there's more and more people that have an elevated consciousness, which makes it easier. That's why there's so many more right now that are doing that.
But the one thing that I wanted to ask was that in the beginning of the, I know the death process is layers, it's layers, and it's like you say, that's only the tip. But just because we hear about different people talking about, like, say they talk to their loved one and they explain, well, this is what happened. I crossed over and I met Uncle Harry or whatever, and the dog and then whatever. And then someone else says, well, Jesus met me, or the angel met me. And so what I have kind of concluded for myself was understanding that whatever you believe is going to happen when you die is what's going to happen, at least at the onset. Maybe the rest of the stuff has got a different, but at least at the onset, if you think you're going to meet Jesus, or you think you're going to hell, or you think you're going to meet your loved ones, that will happen initially. Am I on the right track there?
Yeah, there's a whole complicated explanation, but yes, generally that's what happens. Whatever your belief is what you experience at the point of death. Well, there's a lot of other information. It would take a lot of time to explain it.
I was thinking that perhaps we can talk about that another time, or that maybe you already are having a teaching seminar or whatever on that whole thing, or if you aren't already, maybe that's something you will do in the future, because I think a lot of people are very, very interested. For some reason, people don't seem to just accept that my loved one died, and what we used to accept. Now we want to know more. Where are they, and why do some people communicate and some people not? So I think that's a whole other show, or like I said, a whole other teaching. Mm-hmm. And
Could do that. I am teaching a retreat in September for 5 days where I discuss and teach about the elementals and the nature spirits and the spiritual beings and how everything interconnects. And then I teach people how to actually connect with the nature spirits and elementals and divas on a conscious level. And so I'm teaching that, but when it comes to death and dying, I've never really taught a class on that. So it might be something to ponder.
And when is this, where is this in September? Where and when?
The retreat is going to be in Golden, BC at a retreat center.
Nice.
And it's 5 days. And if anybody's interested, just email us. It's quicker and we can give you information. I don't know if I've had time to put it on the website. I think I have it on our website under our events calendar, but I can't remember 100% for sure.
I will put your email address on this video so people can get it directly in that way, because I think that would be lovely for people that want that more information. And this is the beauty of this time we're living in, is that we have teachers and we have internet so that we can communicate across the globe with each other. And so, years ago you had to travel a long way to talk to somebody that had the kind of insight that you have, Rose. So this is fantastic. I'm really appreciating it, and I know that the listeners and the viewers are as well. I know a lot of people who are following steadily, and what I'm wanting to encourage as I'm evolving too, like everyone else, is that connect with Rose and don't just what we're doing here is so basic, even though some of the information seems quite profound. Really, if you are interested in the metaphysical teachings, I don't think you're going to find a more enlightened teacher, a more patient teacher, a more loving teacher than Rose. I'm really encouraging people. So, is there anything else that you're getting from? I noticed that the energy kind of softened as we continued to go on, which is lovely. But I wondered if there's anything else you wanted to conclude, Rose, or let people know about.
Not that's coming to me, other than we are doing a prairie tour at the end of June. We're going to Swift Current, Medicine Hat, and Moose Jaw. So if anybody's interested, they can check our website. I'm teaching the workshop Stillness Within Training in Moose Jaw. It is the secret. It's not just about meditating. It's a meditation technique that helps you clear the blockages you carry so that you can actually create the manifestation of what you desire.
Fantastic. And that's in Moose Jaw?
That's in Moose Jaw. It's a weekend workshop.
Wow. So, and all of that is on your website, which is the Metaphysical Center of Canada?
It's metaphysicalcenterofcanada.com.
And again, I'll put that right on the video so people will have it handy. But and that's where people really need to go to check out everything that you've got going on, because you've always got so much going on and so many opportunities. Plus, you have CDs available for people. You have the book. You have other information tools that people can use.
Yeah.
So, because these can be overwhelming times, and it's nice to know there's resources available, and so thank you for that, Rose.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you being with us, and I appreciate you, the audience, for sharing with us and for sharing the videos and letting people know about Rose's work and letting people know about Let's Get Real chattingwithcatherine.com, because this is how we're going to grow, and I think connect with each other to raise consciousness, raise vibration, and change the world. We've got to talk to each other, and so thank you.
Well, and the one thing I just want to mention to people who are listening, you can join us on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Contact us via email if you need anything, because it's the way the word spreads.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing, is I think we have changed to a point where we're not intimidated by celebrity, unless celebrity wants if celebrity creates that distance. But most of the people I know that are really consciously evolved and want to connect are doing their best to connect with large numbers of people. Of course you can't connect with everybody individually and personally. There's 7 billion people out here. that would make for a very busy Rose. Okay, well, thank you very much. And until next time, take care.
Thank you, everyone. Namaste.
Isn't that amazing? Thank you to my guests for sharing with us today. Thank you for watching. Feel free to share the link. You can join us for live shows by going to letsgetrealchattingwithcatherine.com and listen to the replays from the show page, preview guests, and explore links to our Facebook fan page, WordPress blog, and more. We are creating an exquisite world. Until next time, take care.